Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Oh my gosh. So, I have been gone actually the last 5 or 6 days. It's been almost 6 days. I've been gone on a trip for work. And so I recorded a little bit ahead and now I'm back. And the first thing I did when I got back and took care of things and got everything squared away at home, I was like, okay, the very first thing I'm going to do is listen to the audio drama from Oda Azushi, because where it left off last week, I was so mad. It was one of the last things I recorded before I left, and I was like, you mean to tell me I've got to wait like nearly a week? Which you all wait week to week, so why should I be complaining? But we got the whole scandal with Yao, all of that out in the open. It's all there. We ended up with WuXian and Wangji apparently going on a tour of Lotus Pier, which is something I've been really hyped about because that's towards the end of season 3 of the Donghua. I've been waiting to see that in the novel. So I'm like, are we getting Golden Core reveal now in this episode? What? I think that's what's happening, and I'm really freaking excited about it. So, this is probably gonna be another short video for this week. Don't worry, after this week, I don't know what possessed me to choose the order in which I recorded in. There was a method to the madness long ago when I first planned this out. I had just finished the Donghua, and I was planning out the rest of the novel reactions, and so there was a method here. I'm gonna trust myself back then and be like, okay, Romania, there was a reason why you did this, so I'm gonna go with it. But this week, we're only looking at episode 10 of the audio drama, which covers chapters 86 through 90 in the novel. But we're also looking at 2 extras, Into the Dream Part 1 and Blind Date. So I don't know what will go on with those, but we're going to do that. We're going to listen to them. It's going to be great. And then afterwards, I'm going to go on and read chapters 86 through 90, go look at the manhwa. I'm almost caught up to the manhwa. That's the scary thing. This may be the last video that I look at the manhwa until like weeks later, until the very end of the reactions for this audio drama, because I think I'm caught up to the manhwa. So this may be the last time I talk about the manhwa for a while, until the very end when I can maybe go back and read some more. But that's really sad. I'll probably end up just talking about them in the live stream that we finally do from Oda Azushi and the Untamed. That's going to be crazy to do that. And then I guess just talk about it on Twitter or put a community post out or some kind of video update that's brief once I get caught up with the manhwa. We shall see. It may be a while before that finishes, but I think this might be the last video to talk about the manhwa, which is sad. So, tears. But in any case, I'm pretty excited to dive into this. The audio drama episode itself is only about 30 minutes, and then I think there's about 10 minutes between both of the other 2 extras. I'm curious how that's going to go. But yeah, I'm going to listen to those and then go and read the chapter and come back and talk with you all about it. But I guess we'll find out, right? But yeah, like I said, the first thing, I've gotten everything squared away at home, and I was like, okay, very first thing I'm going to react to as soon as I get everything all ready to go is going to be Oda Azushi, because it's been nearly a week, and after the last episode, I'm like, I'm ending it there, and I just didn't have time to go further, so now I get to make up for it, so yay. But all right, y'all, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. We're over halfway through the final season of the audio drama. It's all starting to wind down, and it's really bizarre. But what can we do? So yeah, let's dive into this, shall we? I'm ready to see. We're at the Lotus Pier. Cheng was trying to have a meeting, and Wangji and WuXian are like having none of it. And can you blame them? So in any case, let's start this here in 3, 2, 1, and just see what happens. Oh. This is break for dinner. Yeah, they're not coming to the dinner. To change their clothes. And Cheng's like, Yeah, Cheng's gonna go find them. Ooh. Oh my god, I love this. I'm ready to fangirl. Yeah, Cheng's gonna go find them. Are we gonna get the golden core reveal this chapter? I believe we are in these chapters. I think it's gonna happen. We're near the climax of the novel. It's just interesting if they do it this way. We'll see. I love the picture of Wangji hugging Wuxian. What? It's so beautiful. And then walking up and down the street. La 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 la. Aww. Going on a little date around town. Oh, Wuxian's like, help me, I'm poor. Aww. Oh, his little giggle! His little giggle! Oh my god. Aww. Doesn't matter if I had to pay for you. Because it's different. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, there are fewer stalls. Oh, wow. Oh, you're too late. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh. He's savoring it, right? I won't speak to you anymore. This is so freaking precious. I love this. Aww. Oh. Oh, wow. Are they... Yeah, we saw that extra. Mm. The best. The best cock stealer in all of the land. Hmm. Uh, Such a troublemaker. Oh, my glorious triumphs. Since you're not going to stop me. Yes, of course. You oblivious man, how do you not know why? That's why you go on a date with somebody to talk to them. Oh. Oh. This tree is different. Oh. Yeah, we watched that too. Oh. Oh. You know reason. Does he now? Yeah, it's different. when you fell. Oh, do it! Do it! That's what the picture is. He's catching him. And the heartbeat. Oh, catch his waifu! Oh my god, if he kisses him. With the music and everything. Oh my gosh, y'all. Ah! Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Like, you can just hear them breathing. Why is it so sensual? Why, show? Ugh. Oh. Hmm. The ancestral hall, yeah. So his house was gone. That's so sad. Gotta show my boyfriend to the parents. Hmm. Hmm. How'd you know? Hmm. Hmm. How much is a little? Huh. Hmm. Oh. Oh. Huh. Oh. 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 Let's do it together. You know? You know? Wangshin bowing. I love it. Oh. To show you. And then Cheng comes and interrupts. Oh my god. We'll leave. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. Like how soft he was speaking to Wangji. Oh. He's not a random nobody! No! Yes! Oh. 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 No. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh. 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 Oh, he saw them. Oh, Cheng. Oh. Well, she's like, oh no. Oh my god, he's, oh. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Why? I can't believe he called. Oh my god. What? Yeah, this is not the place to fight. Oh. 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 Shit. And then Ning shows up. Oh. I can't even take notes. I'll do it later when I read the chapter. Oh my god. my God. And this music. Oh my God. Oh my God. Because he was there. Oh my God. Huh. Oh my God. Cheng's voice. Oh my God, Cheng's voice actor. Oh, and this music. I was there. There was no Baoshen. No, yeah. The best physician in all of the Wind sect. Mm-mm. No. Yep. God, this breathing. Oh. Oh my God. And he runs out with Sweet Bean. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then Ning's back to normal. Wangji's like, I really didn't want a third wheel. Oh my god, that was so intense. If you didn't know and you just listened to that for the first time, oh my god. I didn't even take any notes. I'm just gonna have to go back and read the chapter to take notes because God, that was so intense. Yeah, Ning just like stopped the conflict. Oh. 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 Yeah. Oh. When he was young. Oh. Hmm. No. Yeah, why bring it up? Yeah. He'll know sooner or later. Mm. Oh. Yep. Yeah. He did a pretty good job of it. Oh. Yeah. Hmm. Ah. A lot of anesthesia. Oh. Oh. So they have to be awake. Jeez. Ooh. About half. Okay, so she had a background in this. Hmm. Good enough. Half half. Ah. Ah. Oh. Don't speak of him. Oh. Oh. Every word. Ugh. That he insulted you, yeah. Oh. Yeah, because you said you were just friends. Because you said you were just friends. You're clearly more than that. Yes. Yes, Wuxin, damn it. Is this different? Ah. No, he really is. It's not that hard. Oh, honey. Ah. Ooh. Okay, we're going to Young Pink City first. Okay. Oh my god, Wuxin. Oh, that was so intense. Oh my god. I didn't write hardly any notes because I have hardly nothing on this paper because I was so enthralled with that. And Cheng calling them out. Like, he'd been following them and watching them, you stalker. Oh my god. I'm just going to make novel notes out to the side and then just go from there. I'm just go from there. I am going to put Into the Dream, though, and do the notes from that. Into the Dream Part 1 and the blind date. Oh my gosh. Well, of course Wangji's mad because when he called Wuxin and Wangji out for canoodling in the tree, Wuxin's like, we're just friends. And Wangji's like, what is this? I caught you in a hug. We sensually breathed at each other. How dare you say we're just friends? I do like that Wuxin is questioning, though. He's like, I feel like Wangji treats me different than other people, but what does this different mean? Like, is this... Wuxin's starting to piece it together. Our boy has spent 90 chapters piecing it together, but he's finally getting there where he's figuring it out. I'm like, okay, that's all I... Just gotta wait a little bit longer till maybe he figures it out. God. All right, I do want to hear the preview, though. I want to hear the preview for this. This business. Oh. Huh. The more handsome he seems, huh? Wuxin. Wuxin, honey. Why? Okay. All right, so my camera stopped and was like, we gotta redo it. So there are two extras that I want to watch. The first being Into the Dream, and the other one being Blind Date. So Into the Dream is about 7 minutes long, so we're gonna start it first. And interesting and see what happens. So we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Uh huh. Hmm. Never seen it before. Hmm. Huh? Huh? Huh. Still the birds and stuff. So is this gonna be a dream? Whose dream? Wangji or Wuxian's? Is this Wuxian's dream? Uh, uh, into a river, huh? Oh. Probably. Yeah, the incense burners. Something with the dreams. Okay. Hmm. Maybe. Let's not question it. Let's just stroll around. Okay. Kind of like what they've done this last episode. And the music. God, the music in the series. It's picking up right where it needs to. Ooh. Oh. What house is it? How's there another? Ah, and the heir of an immortal cultivator. It's my dream. Oh. He's been doing fishing. Being all friggin' domestic? This be like the most domestic pair ever? Oh. Oh. He's like, I need it spicy. Oh. A dream of them together. Yeah. Leave the finances to Wangji. Such a waste! Such a waste, you say? But he wants to get to the spicy stuff. Oh my gosh. What? Oh my god. I'm sorry, but what? Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to talk about that. And then we have one more. And it is the matchmaking. They call it matchmaking, but it's also blind date. It looks like it's with Cheng. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and we'll start. I wonder if this is from the Modazushi Q. If it's from that one. Romania. I love that little smug look of Cheng. He's like, his little badger face. Is he? Oh, Cheng, honey. Cheng. It's her perfume, you idiot. Oh my god, you are the least charming person in existence, Cheng. Oh my god, Cheng. She's like, I'm mad at you. Oh my god. I'll pass. Oh. I even gave her some suggestions. Ah! Oh my god, honey. The third time. Uh, ooh. Stay single. As if I care. Aw, there ain't nothing wrong with you staying single, Cheng. Nothing wrong with that. Not at all. Aw. Alright, y'all. I'm gonna go and read these chapters. Oh my god. And then we'll come back and talk about this. These chapters! WuXian! I will say this. I will say this. Oh my gosh. I went back to read the novel chapters and the novel chapters do explain a little bit more. God, Cheng! Oh, what? Oh man, that Cheng's involvement in all this and knowing their relationship is that just went a totally different direction than I thought. So yeah. The Into the Dream part 1 with the instant burner. I'm assuming that let's talk about the extras first. Let's just get the extras out of the way before we start this. The blind date one is very much like the Modazushi Q, where Cheng just isn't satisfied with any of the women that are proposed to him. Like they say it's the third time that he's basically, and Cheng's just he is a brat, like WuXian says, because he just, gives suggestions of how to fix these girls and they of course get offended and leave. But it's not bad if Cheng's single. As much as people ship him with different people, I am totally fine if Cheng is a single character, if he's asexual, if he's like just not interested, if he's aromantic, if Cheng's just not interested in anybody in that way. And that's perfectly fine. What's sad is the fact that, as we see in this set of chapters, he screws up so much of potential relationships he could have with WuXian because he misunderstands and because his anger and everything just gets the better of him. And the things he says, it's like, as soon as he says it, it's like WuXian's like, well, yeah, I'm going to leave. And he's like, I'm not coming back. And the worst part is that Cheng, when Ning reveals everything to him, Cheng's just like, what? And it's just, his whole world is floored. And now Cheng God, we're going to talk about these rest of these chapters. But I just feel bad for Cheng at the end of this because he is alone. I mean, yeah, Ling's there, but all of this stuff leading up with the golden core reveal, it's wild. It's wild, y'all. It's just crazy. But yeah, so there's that one. And then they Into the Dream. I'm assuming they find this mysterious instant burner in the Forbidden Library, and they're like, oh, it doesn't seem malicious. I'm like, yeah, okay. But it's showing them their dreams. It's showing WuXian his dreams, and him and Wangji are seeing the dream together. And we go back several chapters when WuXian had that like retirement plan all figured out, and him and Wangji were retired on the secluded mountain, and Wangji was weaving and making the clothing and doing the cooking, and WuXian was out catching the food and tending the fields. And it's funny. It's a funny thing because, as many of you have established, WuXian is the uke, the bottom in this relationship. And typically, it's an interesting like gender norm or relationship norm swap because the uke or the bottom is typically viewed as the more sensitive one, as the one that's kind of maybe more feminine and maybe takes on roles like cleaning and cooking and things like that. If you're gonna gender niche it together. And that's not always true, right? And so I think this is a great example of where your alpha character, your seme character, who is the top in the relationship, is the one weaving the food and cooking and thankfully taking care of finances because WuXian is not to be left alone with money. He'll spend it all. And so it's weird because since it's two men in a relationship, there's not necessarily a gender norm that's being subverted, but rather a subversion of the relationship expectations, perhaps between like an uke and a seme character, or a top and a bottom character. And I like that a lot because it's more realistic. Like, no, you don't like the big, and Wangji's not this big manly character. You could argue that WuXian and Wangji are very similar in terms of they're both described in the novel. In the novel, they describe Wangji as a slender character, but he is strong. He's got a core strength. The novel says he's got core strength, both golden and otherwise. And so I like that there's not this, the dynamic between WuXian and Wangji is that they're both similar characters, but they do both have, you know, their own place in the relationship and how they define the relationship, but it doesn't necessarily adhere to any standards like in other stories or any stereotypes. I like that a lot. But yeah, just the idea of WuXian, and WuXian says in Into the Dream, he's like, oh, well, I always, you know, we're just doing this boring stuff, this domestic boring stuff like cooking and growing food and stuff like that and weaving. He's like, when I get to the part that's spicy, when I get to the bath scene where we're taking a bath together and we start taking off our clothes, that's when I wake up. And it's like, WuXian. Especially after this chapter, it's like, oh my God, he's on the edge, right? He's on the edge of realizing that he likes Wangji more than just a friend. And God, I felt so bad for Wangji in this chapter. He just gets outright friend zoned. He's just like, what? But he stays with WuXian because he loves him and he stays with him. He's like, fine, if I get friend zoned in all this, okay. And I think WuXian. We'll talk about this. The main thing is that WuXian's so afraid for Wangji's sake. Our oblivious gremlin doesn't get it. He doesn't get that Wangji loves him. And I'm like, damn it, WuXian. WuXian's like, oh, I gotta protect Wangji's emotions because I don't want Wangji to be ashamed. And WuXian fully believes that if he did have any emotions for Wangji, they wouldn't be reciprocated. And it's like, honey, you have no clue how much Wangji loves you, like more than just a friend, and you're just not. But he's getting close. I feel like we're on chapter 90 as this part ends. We're on chapter 90, and I think y'all said this only has like 116 chapters. So we're getting near the end. I'm like, WuXian, it's taken you this long to figure it out. But he's almost there. It's like just, and oh God. But yeah, so Into the Dream was great. I feel like the end where he's like, we wake up before we take a bath together. WuXian, that's symbolic before we talk about these chapters proper. I feel like that's symbolic of WuXian almost being there. He's so close. He's on the edge. He's just not gotten to the point where it's like we're going through like you could argue the stuff that they do in Into the Dream Part 1, it's very domestic, it's very platonic. Like it's just, you know, hey, we're just two friends hanging out in this secluded mountain, but we're just cooking and cleaning. No, nothing romantic here. And anytime it starts to get romantic, WuXian's not ready yet to take that final step with his sexuality, and so it stops. And he's like, okay. But I feel like at some point, it's gonna go over the edge, and then he's gonna get there, and it's like, okay. For the record, though, I'm not going to be able to handle when this stuff gets spicy, because I felt like I was starting to blush when they were up in the tree, and they were just breathing next to each other. Like, it's just so damn sensual. It's like, I feel like I could watch some very hardcore pornography and not be this, like, feel this intimate and sensual as these two voice actors breathing on each other. Like, I feel like that's so much more sensual and romantic than anything else. And that's been this whole, like, the moment where he hugs him and they're just so close, and when you're listening, you can feel it. It's like palpable. I'm not gonna make it if we do anything spicy. I'm gonna slowly like just sink in here and just fall off screen. There's no way. It's not gonna work. I don't know what to do. So yeah, let's talk about these chapters, speaking of which. So I did catch up with the Manhua. Luckily, the Manhua covered the entirety of this episode. So there we are. It made it to chapters 225 in the Manhua, 221 to 225. It covered this episode. But sadly, next week, I'm thinking by next week, there will be a the next chapter, 226, will come out, because I think they come out on Wednesdays. So I'll maybe have a screenshot from that being in the thumbnail for next week. But I'm going to have to wait. Ugh. So sad. I hate that I have to wait until possibly the end to talk more about the Manhua, and then probably do like a follow-up video to cover the rest of the Manhua where it ends, right? I feel like that's what's going to have to happen. Like later this summer, once I've started Heaven Official's Blessing is around the corner here in another month or two. And I feel like once I'm starting that series, I'll have to come back and do like a little mini video and talk about the Manhua and how it, syncs up. Just so I'm a completionist, just so I can have closure. But the fact that the Manhua is over now, for now, is so frustrating because I like using it as reference when I talk about these chapters. But what can we do? But yeah, episode 10, it was a nice, succinct episode. Maybe that's why I chose just to watch it by itself. Because we're about to go to the temple, that dang temple, and see what happens with Jishin and Yao. Oh my god. But yeah, so I like the idea of when the people are like, when Cheng's like, where's WuXian and Wangji? And they're like, oh, they had to go change their clothes. And Cheng's like, And the thing of it is, Cheng just wants to be near WuXian. He finally has WuXian back in his life. And Cheng is just so proud, and he's just so much like his mother that he can't just come out and say it. We can't have feelings. He can't just come out and say, WuXian, I've missed you after all these years, and just talk it out with WuXian. No, he has to hide behind the fact that he's a sect leader, and he has to put on this front. And WuXian I think WuXian knows it's a front, but he feels like he can't talk to Cheng because Cheng is so committed to it. It's it's very frustrating. So Cheng goes off to find them. And I love the dinner date scene. They're walking around town, just checking out all the food and sharing beignets and stuff and sharing food and everything. And I love that. I love the idea that WuXian's well, in the past I never had to pay for anything. It all makes sense now why WuXian's a cheapskate. Makes total sense now because this whole series WuXian never has money on him. He's always without money, and we find out in this episode it's because Fengmian would just pay his bills. WuXian would just go around town getting anything he wanted to, and Fengmian would pay for it. And it's okay, get it now. Yeah, just. And of course, Wangji's well, you should never have to pay for things. Wangji could not be more obvious, for the record, at this point. Wangji could not be more obvious, WuXian. And our chaotic gremlin, it's almost there. It's painfully almost there. Y'all said, this is the biggest slow burn. This may be the biggest slow burn in publication. Because it's just 90 chapters of us being WuXian, get it. And he's finally getting it. It's just, we're not quite there yet. But I love it. I love that Wangji offers to pay him, and he's you'll never pay for mood. It's your sugar daddy is here. And then they go. I do before they get to the Ancestral Hall, one, that WuXian notes that Lotus Pier is not as good as it was before. That they've tore stuff down. There's not as many shops. And I like that WuXian acknowledges in these chapters, the difference between how you view things as a child and then how you view them when you're an adult. Because part of me wondered if, the shops and things were rebuilt at Lotus Pier, and maybe they didn't build as many. True, they may not have built as many as there were before, but part of that could also be that WuXian is looking at Lotus Pier through the mind of himself as a child and as a young teenager. And when you're younger, things do sometimes appear more grandiose. Sometimes when you remember things in your memory, they seem like more than what they were. And so now that he's going back as an adult and seeing it, it's not as grand as it once was when you were a kid. And it's So I wondered if that was part of it. Or it could literally be that there are less shops and things, and it's not as good as it was before. But I love the fact that, second, he just wants to tell Wangji about his life. He wants to share information about something. It's WuXian, when you want to tell someone all about their life, all about your life, and you want to connect with them on that level, you can argue that best friends, platonic best friends, do that. And I do believe at this point that WuXian and Wangji are best friends. So, it makes sense platonically. You could argue that WuXian is just trying to tell Wangji about his past and his life and show him around his stomping grounds. And you do that with friends. I totally get that. But there's a little aspect, once we get to the tree, up until the tree, I'm okay, WuXian, you're trying to tell Wangji about your hometown like you promised all those years ago. You're just fulfilling that promise. If we want to argue it's platonic, I get why WuXian thinks that. He just wants to show his friend around and learn more about his friend and tell him about his life and see his reactions to it. It's we do that with friends all the time. And you do that with romantic partners. It's called going on a date. But then when we get to the tree, that's when it crosses the line, right? That's when it crosses over, I think, officially. And I think WuXian realizes that too without realizing it. Because he goes to that tree, the very first tree we saw way back a couple chapters ago with Yanli and the lantern. We go back to that. And then I like that Wuxian admits, Wangji's like, why did you climb up this tree? Why did you do this? And Wuxian's like, I like to meddle. It's just what I do. It's my character. And Wangji's accepting of him. And, oh my gosh, I love when he's up in the tree in the novel. I'm looking at I finally wrote extra notes from the novel on here. That when he's up in the tree, he looks down and sees Wangji. And it reminds him of Yanli waiting for him at the bottom of the tree. But he makes note that Yanli, her arms were too slender and weak to catch him. That she was just his sister. She couldn't catch him, though. Not from everything, right? She could only do so much. And I like that it's kind of a representation of Wangji being more than that, right? That he can catch Wuxian. He's like, I just needed someone to catch me if I fell. And at that point, it's like, yeah, your family and your friends can do so much, but when you're in a relationship with someone, they can catch you when you fall in ways that others can't. And so at that moment, he's like, if I jump, I'll get caught by Wangji. And he doesn't finish the sentence, and so we can kind of infer what that means, but he jumps and Wangji catches him. And the novel makes a very good point, like the audio drama, oh my gosh, like just them breathing in each other's ears. It's like, ah. The novel makes a very good point of saying that they hugged for a while. It was a long hug, and it was a tight embrace. And when Wuxian says thank you, because Wangji asked him, he's like, when you fell and broke your arm and stuff, did it hurt? And he finally admits when Wangji catches him, he's like, yeah, it hurt. But I'm glad that you're here. Thank you. It's like, I think at that moment, it's like Wuxian maybe starting to tip over into the edge of realizing I do care for Wangji maybe more than just a friend. Maybe that's what it is. Because yeah, that hug lasts a while, and Cheng's gonna bring that up. It's like, the Donghua, I've watched the Donghua. I've not gotten to this point in the Untamed, but I've gotten this point in the Donghua. In the Donghua, there's not really that moment, and Cheng doesn't really call them out for their actual relationship like he does here. It's like, oh my god. But anyway, so they go to the ancestral hall, they light the incense, they do the bowing. I love that Wuxian takes time in the audio drama in the novel to apologize to Madame Yu for everything. And they do 2 of the bows to the heavens and earth, to the mother and father. And on the 3rd bow, that was going to be him and Wangji, like as husband and wife. So again, just like Into the Dream, Wuxian is almost there. He's almost there. And it's so painful as a reader. You're like, just make that extra step. You know you want to, because it's almost like when he says, I'm gonna make this final bow, and like, I hope you all can forgive me. I hope you all give me your blessing, because it's basically like him saying, I'm gonna ask, Wangji to be my partner in all this. And then that's when Cheng interrupts. And I love that he just wanted to show Wangji off to his parents. Wangji's a stand-up guy. Cheng, oh my gosh. And at the point that I wrote down, Cheng interrupts, and from this point right there, all the rest of this junk is novel stuff, because from like right here, I just stopped writing because I was so enthralled with the audio drama at that point. But, oh, Cheng just cannot. And you wonder, the novel, I think, does a much better job of explaining why Cheng is so frustrated. And we, the audience, know by now why Cheng is frustrated. The idea that there's Ning running around the city, there's Ning running around Lotus Pier, and he's the one that killed Zixuan and caused his sister and Ling all that pain. He's running around. Wuxian is in the city like nothing has happened. And I think Cheng in part is happy for that, but he's also like, our parents died and here you are, and my mother said you were responsible. There's all that. And I think Cheng knows Wuxian isn't, but it's still the fact of the matter. And then Wangji, who he says is, the reason all this started was because Wuxian was trying to help Wangji out in the cave, is there too. And he's like, and you're showing your boyfriend off in front of my parents who you didn't ask me. And I think that's part of it, that Cheng's like, you didn't involve me in anything. It's almost like Cheng's like, you don't need me anymore. You have Wangji. You don't need your brother. And he's like, and you swore you'd be loyal to me, and instead you've ran off with Wangji. He's like, instead of coming home and being... That was the other thing too. He's like, he's like, you show your face now, but he's like, where else have you been in the meantime? You didn't come here first, right? And so it's really hard. And when he says unwelcome people, the novel translates it, the novel version I have translates it to unwelcome people. And that means Wangji, not just some nobody. The Donghua and the audio drama say some random nobody. And WuXian gets mad. And the thing of it is, this whole conversation, WuXian is sticking up for Wangji. He doesn't want Wangji to be offended or feel uncomfortable. WuXian's like, you can say whatever you want to me, I deserve it, but leave Wangji out of it. And then Cheng admits that he saw them hug. And he was like, I was like, whoa, Cheng, are you going to get a little homophobic here? Is that what we're going to do? But, and in the novel, Cheng, it talks about how he thought in the novel, Cheng's like, he didn't think Wangji was interested in anyone because that was just like the Lan clan, you know, we're not interested in anybody because we're so pure. And then he says in the novel that he originally wanted to offend WuXian by suggesting that he was like Mo Jianyu and that he was gay. But now he's like, WuXian's never shown any interest in anyone that wasn't a girl. And he's like, ever since he's came back to life, Wangji's been like with him constantly. And so Cheng sees the writing on the wall. He knows that there's a relationship with them now. And he's probably like, has this been here all along? Like, Cheng's wondering, like, back in Gusu when they were always next to each other and WuXian was pursuing him all the time. Was it back then? Why didn't WuXian tell me about any of this? I think more than anything, I don't think it's that Cheng is homophobic necessarily. I think the big thing is Cheng's like, you didn't tell me. You didn't involve me in anything. You went off with this guy and you never told your brother. How dare you? You leave me out of it. And Cheng being like, I'm the last one to know. And the frustrating thing in all of this, the frustrating thing is that WuXian is getting to the point where he is realizing he has feelings for Wangji, but he thinks Wangji doesn't have any feelings for him. And I'm like, this whole time, Wangji has had feelings for you, you dummy. But he doesn't think so. He doesn't think that Wangji likes him. He thinks that Wangji, he's trying to defend Wangji, he thinks that Wangji is mad at Cheng's words to him about them. He's like, you're scandalous acts, and WuXian's like, oh my gosh, Wangji will think that I'm trying to be scandalous with him, and I don't want him to feel ashamed or uncomfortable. And it's like, WuXian, and so that's why WuXian says the whole, and WuXian's not there yet. That's the thing. When he does the whole friend zone line, he's like, Han Wanjun is just my friend. And Wanji's like, really? I felt so bad for Wangji. The manhwa doesn't help either. The manhwa makes him look like absolutely heartbroken. I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, WuXian's trying to save Wangji, but Wanji's like, I love you, and this is what I get. It's like, ah! But yeah, I think WuXian is almost there. He says that he's only a friend, but in that moment, it feels like in the novel that WuXian only says that to try and save Wangji and try to make Wangji not feel uncomfortable. He's like, oh, I don't want to say that I love Wangji and then Wangji be uncomfortable in the moment. So that's why he does the friend line. So WuXian's there. He's almost there to admitting that he likes Wangji more so than a friend. But it's like we take 3 steps forward and we take 2 steps back. I'm like, it's like Wangji, WuXian, no. And then I like that when WuXian starts to get faint and starts to collapse, Cheng thinks that WuXian's faking it, that he's trying to escape. He doesn't believe that his brother could be that frail. And I think that says a lot for Cheng's character, saying that he didn't think WuXian could be that frail, that he didn't believe him. He thought it was just a trick. And it's like, oh, Cheng, honey. And then Ning shows up. And that Ning being forceful like he is, I love it. I love that the novel says that Ning had felt guilty and he'd avoided Cheng this entire time because of everything that he made Cheng and Ling and all of them go through. But in this instance, he's like, no, I gotta save WuXian. I gotta protect my master. I'm gonna step in here. And the whole thing with Suibian and the sword, the whole reveal. I will say for the Donghua, despite this reveal audibly was amazing because you can just hear Cheng getting more and more riled up and you're like, ugh, and it's so palpable. I loved this reveal better. We haven't seen it in the Untamed yet, so that's going to be interesting, but I liked it audibly in this better. But visually, the Donghua is so gorgeous. It's probably my favorite part of the Donghua animation wise is the golden core reveal, because it's just like showing her like tearing through the darkness with the light and offering it to Cheng. Like if you've not seen the Donghua version of the golden core reveal, it's a lot more rushed than this. Some things are switched back around, but it is definitely worth watching just for the visuals alone. It is gorgeous. And so, but there are a lot of things left out in this. The idea that he tells Wangji later that Cheng had been experimenting with this idea, the idea of transferring golden cores. But sensibly, nobody had volunteered to do it because I like that Ning brings up, he's like, who would willingly offer their ability to be special and to have a spiritual connection with this golden core? Who would offer that up? And it's WuXian. WuXian gives it to his brother without, even though there was a 50% chance of success. And the way that Wangji's voice like trembles when he says 50, there's only a half chance he could have died. What? And the way that the novel describes the golden core being removed, it was hard for me to visualize, and the novel is perfectly. It's like the idea of being conscious while something is peeled away from your body, and something that gives you such life and energy is just stripped away from you, and you're just left with dead water. I loved that visual. The novel's visual of it was beautiful. And the fact that WuXian couldn't be sedated. It makes sense, right? It makes sense he can't be sedated because if he's unconscious, then the golden core is tied to your consciousness, right? That's why if you fall unconscious, somebody can kill you. Your golden core is not still active, keeping you safe like a shield. So it makes sense if he was unconscious, the golden core would dissipate. So he had to be conscious the entire time over 2 nights and a day. Yeah. And Wangji just hearing all of this. And I will give props to Wangji. After being friend-zoned, he still stays with WuXian because he still loves him. And at this point, Wangji may think it's unrequited, but it's like, no, it's not unrequited. I'm waiting for these 2 gremlins to confess their love. We're almost to the end of the novel, so if it's coming, it's got to come soon, right? I don't want to be spoiled when, though. I don't want y'all spoiled with me when. But the idea that Ning just tells him all of that, and then I love when Cheng like shoves the sword. He's like, "You're a liar. You're all lying." And Cheng's reaction is so intense. And Ning's like, "Well, then fine. Go out and test it on anybody. You'll find out that I'm telling the truth." And Cheng just with that maddening yell, like him just screaming and running out of the temple. I felt so bad for WuXian in the moment because WuXian's like, "We're fighting in this temple. I was just praying to my mother and father to, like, I just want it to stop." And that's when he faints. It's just, that whole scene was so well done. I'm like, oh my God. So well done. But yeah, and so we find out that Cheng had been researching it and WuXian convinced her to try it on him. I love the conversation that Ning finally has. It's rare we get a conversation with Ning and Wangji. They rarely talk to one another. And it's funny because the last time we've seen Wangji and Ning together, Wangji's been drunk and like pushing Ning away. And Ning is finally, I think Ning has caught on because when WuXian starts to wake up, Ning like retreats into the foreground. He's like, "I don't want to be heard. I'll leave y'all to it." Like he's like, "I'll let y'all have your space and I'll just be over here third wheeling it in the back, rowing the boat." But I like the conversation that Ning and Wangji have about Sijui, and that Ning's like, "I just didn't want him to know yet because I didn't want to bring up any uncomfortable memories." But just like with the thing with Cheng, they're going to find out eventually. The funny thing is, Cheng reacts with such horror at what's happened because he finally realizes, it all gets pieced together, and Cheng realizes everything WuXian's been through, that everything that's happened has been because he saved Cheng. The demonic cultivation was because he saved Cheng. He had no other option but to go along that path. The whole reason he couldn't come back to the Lotus Pier was because of Cheng and him giving the golden core. Not because of Cheng, but because of the act of saving Cheng. And so, of course, Cheng is just driven mad by the realization that all these bad things that have happened to his family are in part because Cheng had his core dissolved. And you know Cheng feels like this sense of inferiority, this sense of like, it's my fault, this all happened. And you know Cheng is probably thinking of all the times he berated WuXian because he wasn't using his sword, like all the times he's gotten onto WuXian. Back in the hall, WuXian's like, "I just want to leave." And then Cheng's being like, "Well, then leave and never come back." And the irony of it all is that WuXian, at the end in his head, is telling himself, he's like, "Wangji, let's just go. Let's never come back here again." And it's like Cheng just drove him away. The one person Cheng wants in his life, now that everything's happened, is the one person he's driving away. It's really tragic. And then him just running out of the hall screaming. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Ning and Wangji have this conversation about Sijui, and that baby Sijui was like hiding in a tree trunk until he was sick, and Wangji had to like nurse him back to health with his fever. It's so damn sad. It's like, Wangji just nursing him back to health. And it makes sense. Ning's like, I recognized him because he looks like my cousin when he was that age. He's like, he's looking more and more like his father, so I knew who it was. It's like, And so we end up with WuXian waking up, and they decide to go to Yongping City for some reason. They're going to Yongping City for some reason. So I guess we'll find out next episode what that is. But in the novel, when WuXian wakes up, it's like, we get a little bit of an acknowledgement that WuXian is maybe realizing that he thinks that Wangji's mad at him because Cheng was a brat, and also because Cheng, I feel like Wangji in some regard views Cheng as the reason that WuXian friend zoned him, because Cheng brought it up and WuXian like said that, but also Wangji's mad because WuXian friend zoned him. But then we hear from WuXian that he really said that because he wanted to protect Wangji. And he feels like his feelings aren't reciprocated by Wangji, so that's why he said it to kind of, ease any uncomfortableness that could have happened. But in saying that, I'm like, WuXian, you're acknowledging that you feel a certain way towards Wangji, right? Right? So, we all know as the audience, what's frustrating is we as the audience know that Wangji loves WuXian more than a friend, like romantically. And WuXian, we feel like he's getting there. He's realizing this about himself, but he doesn't want to admit it or talk about it because he thinks Wangji doesn't like him and that it's going to make things uncomfortable. And I'm like, I'm ready for the shit to hit the fan. And I know it's going to eventually. We just haven't got there yet. And so now I got to wait on it. But yeah, this chapter was so good. I loved it. I love this chapter so much. These chapters, 86 through 90, they were great. I loved them. I can't wait to see what else happens with them. But we'll just have to wait and see, right? Right. So next week is actually going to be a lot bigger. I won't have the Manhua to go through, unfortunately. I'll probably have chapters 226 to talk about maybe, because that'll be out by the time I get to it. But next week's going to be a pretty lengthy discussion. We're going to have chapters 90 through 97, which is episodes 11 and 12 of the audio drama, and then Into the Dream Part 2, which I'm really excited about. We get to watch Into the Dream Part 2 after episode 12. So that'll be good. We'll be looking at that and those like 8 chapters. It's going to be a big one, but I feel like we're getting ready to head to the temple to check up on Jishin. Why not? Why not? So I'm wondering, Cheng left in a frenzy. The funny thing is, in the Donghua, I've not gotten to this in the Untamed, so I have no clue going into the Untamed. I'm about to watch the Untamed after this, so maybe that'll shed some light for next week of what happens in the Untamed. But in the Donghua, we did the whole temple thing before we even got to this. So Cheng, when Cheng was interacting with WuXian and Wangji in the temple, none of this stuff in the Lotus Pier had happened yet, so his attitude was different. So now I'm like, is Cheng going to show up in the temple, and after this set of chapters, how is he going to react then? That's going to be the cool part, is that a lot of you commented that the temple scene has been reorganized and rejumbled in the Donghua, and it's a lot different in the novel and the Untamed. That's what I'm excited about, because I'm like, okay, what is that going to be like when we get to it? That's going to be the exciting thing. So I'm pretty excited. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? We'll see what next couple chapters have in store for us. So in the meantime, I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. This set of chapters was so good. I'm really excited where the story's going. It's getting more and more heartwarming and more spicy and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know what I've signed up for, but I've made it 90 chapters leading up to this point. I think we're ready. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 11 and 12 of the audio drama and chapters 90 through 97 of Modao Zushi. Bye.